Hello, everybody, and welcome into HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here, and we are joined by the A-Team. We got Andy Barron from MYfm 101.3. We got Steve Watson, the voice of the Nipmuc Warriors and Milford Scarlet Hawks football. And we got Jared Keene, HCAM contributor. Guys, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Doing good, Tom.
Doing fantastic.
I actually had an episode of the A-Team on before we came on, so that was very appropriate.
You were getting ready for the show.
That's right. That's how I was.
It's a good way to show prep. So we got a number of topics we're going to get into. We're going to get into, of course, the Sweet 16, talk about the Final Four. But first, big congratulations to Sam Farrell of Hopkinton. He signed with the Montreal Canadiens for a 3-year entry-level deal of a little over $1.1 million per season. Farrell recently graduated from Harvard. He had 20 goals, 33 assists in 34 games this past season. And Harvard's season came to an end this past Friday with an 8-1 loss to Ohio State in the regional semifinal game. In 58 career games at Harvard, Farrell had 81 points, 30 goals, 51 assists. He also represented Team USA in the 2022 Olympics, and he totaled 3 goals and 3 assists during that Olympic run. But he is joining the Montreal Canadiens. So big congratulations to Hopkinton's own Sean Farrell. That is terrific stuff. Looking forward to watching him play in the pros.
Yeah, he was on the Olympic team as well in 2021.
He was.
Correct. Now, he never played for the Hillers because he played juniors, so I never really got the chance to watch him play at the high school level. Certainly wish I did, but it's pretty cool. Have a local guy going to the NHL. Yeah. And even though it's the Montreal Canadiens, it's still cool. But I think we'll see quite a few local guys continue to go pro. There is some good hockey around here, boys. But I want to start off with the Sweet 16. And I totally forgot to do our records, so we'll just scrap that. But anyways, it was a fun, entertaining Sweet 16, and we got the Final Four. We know who it will be. San Diego State, UConn, Florida Atlantic, Miami. Pretty good stuff, guys. And for the first time, it's first time since like the 1960s, there's not a 1 seed going to the Final Four. Any initial thoughts about the games this past weekend? Steve, we haven't had you on for a while. We'll start off with you.
Well, it's good to see a lot of parity in the tournament. There's actually no top 3 seeds in the Final Four, which is like unheard of. You have a number 4, 2 5s, and a 9. You had a 16 seed win, second time ever. 15 seed got to the Sweet 16, just the 4th time ever. So I think all this is good. I think it's good to not see the top seeds in the Final Four. Makes the whole tournament a lot more interesting. And I will say, I think whoever wins the UConn-Miami game Saturday will win the whole thing.
Absolutely. And do you think this is just a trend that's starting to happen in college basketball where the teams are more evenly matched and the number 1, number 2 seeds aren't necessarily the best, but maybe from now on you'll get a lot of those 3, 4, 5 seeds in there?
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you look at there's only been, I think, 4 15 seeds to get to the Sweet 16, and 3 of those 4 have happened in the last 3 years. So, and you never had a 16 seed win before 5 years ago. Now you've had 2 in 5 years. So, I mean, there's more and more parity. I think some of the blue bloods maybe aren't quite as strong as they were. Of course, the transfer portal is a big thing there too. That's a game changer for a lot of programs. So, but it's good to see. It's good to see the smaller schools that you've never heard of do well.
Oh, I feel like watching, I think it was Florida Atlantic. They had a guy that transferred from Georgia. They had one that was a Texas Longhorn at one point. A lot of transferring going on. which you didn't used to see as much of it. And I think COVID played a part in that for sure, because there were some colleges playing, some colleges not. So that played a big part in it. But even besides that, you're getting a whole lot of transfers, but I think it's pretty cool to see. Andy, what were your thoughts about this past weekend's games?
Steve said it best, parity. That's what we're seeing right now in the tournament. This is not like it was 30 years ago when a 15 seed winning was almost completely unheard of. And you're seeing a lot of players now are starting to go to some of these smaller schools. Look at St. Peter's. They made the Elite Eight last year. Princeton in the Sweet 16. Fairleigh Dickinson winning a game. I think some players are starting to think a little smarter now. They're starting to say, hey, you know what? Why am I going to go play for a major school and have to sit on the bench, get my scholarship gig, and getting jerked around when I can go play for a smaller school and I can play all the time? You're starting to see it right now, and this is a trend that's going to keep going upward. I think the tournament's been great so far. UConn's the best team in the tournament, guys. I don't think there's any question about it right now. They look like they're the complete team. They have not even been close to being challenged. But all four of these teams deserve to be there. How can you not like Florida Atlantic? It's just an amazing story. San Diego State, another incredible story. Miami's been kind of knocking on the door the last couple of years. I think you're going to see two really, really good games on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think everybody loves the underdog story. So when you get a team like Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, even, and Miami, really, because they haven't been a big name in basketball, I think it's just great to have teams like that in there.
One more point. I mean, this is probably like Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. This is going to be one of the biggest underdogs coming in, I believe, probably since the 1983 North Carolina State team. That's 40 years ago when Jim Valvano was the coach there and they stunned Houston. I mean, these are some really low seeds, but they're good. San Diego State's defense is very good. They're a very good team. And Florida Atlantic, again, I think they're going to be great games. But honestly, I'd be very surprised if UConn doesn't win this thing. They're the best team. They're clearly the best team. Now they got to go out and prove it. Bobby Hurley's a good coach. Guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that amazed me was how slow San Diego State started off in that Creighton game. And it was a low-scoring defensive affair anyway, but they started off really slow, and it was not looking good for them for quite a while. And then they started to pick up some steam at the end, and then Creighton went ice cold, and the San Diego State defense really took over the game. Jared, what were your initial thoughts from these Sweet 16 games?
The guy said it best, parity. Yeah, I mean, not having kind of the top elite schools is nice to see. But again, for me, I just like seeing good games. I even go back to that first night, Thursday, Kansas State against Michigan State was one of the best games I think I've ever watched. Phenomenal game. SDSU Creighton yesterday, another great game. SDSU somehow able to contain Kalkbrenner, who's 7-1 and a beast. But yeah, I mean, SDSU is a really interesting story as well. Got a lot of experience. Don't really have like a stud. But yeah, I mean, obviously a ton of experience, and it's great to see them there. I'm not going to lie though, I had both SDSU and FAU losing in the first round in my bracket, so and now here they are in the Final Four. But UConn's the best team. Miami could be dangerous. They pose a threat with their guard play and their defense. But UConn, Sonogo is an animal. Jordan Hawkins can really shoot it. Just the most complete team. Yeah, I mean, I like for UConn to take this thing down, but just some really good games. Really, really good games. UConn over Gonzaga, the most impressive win I think I've ever seen. Just absolutely tanked him in the second half. Housed him.
Yes.
And that was after Gonzaga had beaten UCLA, who was no slouch in itself, although despite missing like 2 stars. But
right. Yeah. And by the way, I did the picks real quickly. You had 5 wins. Me and Andy had 4. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, I got to agree. UConn looks really strong. The fact that they just dominated Gonzaga, that was surprising. I thought they had a good chance to win. They're a more well-rounded team, but they just completely dominated them. But you got to give Miami credit. What a crazy comeback they had against the Longhorns. That was just unbelievable.
And Texas was playing again almost better than anybody. Again, another really impressive win. Isaiah Wong is the real deal. That guy can play.
Absolutely. That comeback, I think, was the most impressive thing to me over the weekend because they were down all game, and Texas just seemed like they had their number. They got up in the double digits at least 3 times during that game, maybe more, and it didn't feel like Miami could keep up with them. But then Texas just kind of ran out of gas. It's like they were running the floor a little too hard.
Yeah.
But I think that Miami UConn, that game's probably going to have about a jillion points scored, I would say. All right. So we'll take a look at the Final Four matchups, and let's do some picks for fun. Why not? And so we'll each talk a little bit about the matchup and who we are going to pick. And, of course, the first matchup is Florida Atlantic and San Diego State. Florida Atlantic, a 9th seed. San Diego State, a 5th seed. That will be at 6 o'clock on Saturday, 6:09 tip-off. Well, both of these teams, they are teams that no one expected to be there. 2 very impressive teams. And I think this is going to be a great game. Florida Atlantic and San Diego State, to me, are both the real deal. If you make it to this point in the tournament, even if you made it to the Elite Eight, you're the real deal and you're going places. So these are 2 programs we could see around for quite a while. And that San Diego State defense is just absolutely tremendous. I've never seen a college team defend so well. It's just very impressive what they could do defensively. And they were 31-6. I thought it said 0 for a minute. Okay, they weren't undefeated. But in any case, I like San Diego State in this matchup just because they could defend so well. And I feel like no matter what kind of game it is, they could keep up with Florida Atlantic. They could go with the high-scoring game, but still defend well and make big turnovers. But I think this is going to be a great game. So I'll take San Diego State in this one. Steve, any thoughts about Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, and who are you taking?
I'll go Florida Atlantic. They've only lost 3 games all year. I had them getting knocked out in round 1 by Memphis. Clearly that worked out real well. So I picked against them the whole time. So I'll buck the trend now, and I'll pick for them this time. It's going to be a good battle, though.
All right. By the way, is anyone's bracket still even remotely alive?
No.
I didn't think so. Mine's totally dead. Just as most of the country probably is. All right. Andy, thoughts on Florida Atlantic, San Diego State, and who you picking?
I'm riding the wave with Florida Atlantic. I can't pick against them now. I picked them last week, and I think it's going to be a great game. San Diego State's no slouch. Florida Atlantic is just I got to get an FAU shirt. I mean, I got to find myself one of those. But I'm going with Florida Atlantic. The Owls, is that their name? The Florida Atlantic Owls? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll add that to the HCAM Sports Talk budget. Andy's Florida Atlantic shirt.
I gotta get one. It's just like it just says FAU on it. That's all it says. You know?
So wait, I gotta get what, a Jets jersey? You need the Florida Atlantic shirt. Jared,
you gotta get Jared a Lions jersey.
Yes, Lions jersey.
You would get a Jets jersey.
And Steve needs a Jimmy Garoppolo jersey.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
All right, Jared, who are you going with in this one? Florida Atlantic, San Diego State.
I'm taking San Diego State here. I think the experience is going to show. Florida Atlantic can definitely shoot it, but I think San Diego State's defense is going to be a bit too much of a factor. Again, I picked against FAU the whole tournament. I'm kind of going the opposite method of Steve and trying to pick up against him again and see if it finally pays off. So, but yeah, this SDSU team is pretty impressive. I like what they've done. Again, really impressive win yesterday over Creighton. Aztecs, let it rip.
Absolutely. Welcome to the good side. Glad you could join me. Steve and Andy, you could have Florida Atlantic. Me and Jared are taking San Diego State. All right. This is a tough one to pick. 5th seeded Miami, 4th seeded UConn. I think this is going to be an extremely high scoring game. It's going to be similar to Miami, Texas, where it's just kind of a back and forth game. I mean, the homer in me wants to go UConn, but I'm still on the fence. So you know what? Let's let Andy pick first.
Going with UConn, I can't pick against them right now. I mean, Miami's is a very, very good team. This is an old Big East rival, but UConn's clearly the best team. Just like I said a little while ago. I think this game will be relatively close, but I do think UConn's going to pull away late, and they end up winning by 10.
All right, I like it. Jared, who you going with?
I think Andy took the words like right out of my mouth. I'm going UConn, best team. Miami probably keeps it close. UConn pulls away late. UConn has too much though. Really good team.
All right, Steve.
So I had the privilege of seeing both these teams last weekend up in Albany. Both very impressive. Both can dominate for long stretches of time, and they've had really impressive runs. I'm going to go UConn, though. UConn can take a close game and turn into a blowout like nothing, like you saw against the Zags on Saturday.
Zags.
You know, it was only a 4-point game in the final, 5 seconds. They hit a 3 to make it a 7-point lead. Then they just cranked it up a gazillion notches in the second half. They've done that every game. And I just don't see anyone who can match that stride for stride. It's going to be close. I think Miami will hang in there with them because they can have their dominant stretches too. And with Miami, you know, they were down big to Drake. They were down big to Texas, and both those teams kind of got sloppy. Miami stayed smart, and they won. That's what's gotten them here. It's two very well coached teams, but I think UConn. We'll say by 8. I think it'll be their closest game of the tournament. I do think, like I said before, whoever wins that game will be the champion.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think San Diego State, Florida Atlantic's good, and obviously you never know, but it just feels like whoever comes out of that Miami UConn game, they're going to go the distance. Well, both of these teams have been very battle tested. They have both played unbelievable in the tournament. You know, something in me saying Miami. I'm going to go Miami.
Nice.
Something in me saying it. I mean, the way they came back, beat the Longhorns, just really impressed me. So, but I think this game will be very close.
I think Jim Larrañaga is one of the top 5 or 6 coaches in college basketball. He doesn't get enough credit for what he does.
Yes, a fantastic coach.
No doubt about
it. Absolutely. And there was so many times in that game that Miami could have just been down and out because things were not looking good at several points in that one, but they were able to hang in there and squeak it out at the end. But there's been many good games in the tournament. That's going to be one of my favorites. I don't know what my favorite one is yet, but that Miami-Texas game is unbelievable. I think this Miami-UConn game is going to be one of those games that's just an instant classic as well. Take the over.
If we're making further picks, I got UConn to win it all. UConn to win it all. I think it's UConn's. I don't think you can pick against UConn right now to win it all.
All right. I'll take Miami to win it all.
Oh, man. That would be spicy.
I'm guessing all you three are taking UConn to win it all?
Yes, UConn to win it all, and I did have them in one of my brackets. It's the only bracket I still have afloat. So.
Good job.
Yes,
By the way,
sometimes I do smart things.
It's rare, but okay. Yeah, sometimes.
Jesus, man.
I have to ask. I'm very jealous of you. You had the chance to go to Albany and check out a lot of games from the tournament. So tell us, how was the experience and what's it like for a college basketball fan to go to March Madness? Experience like?
It was fun. So round 1, you have 4 games in the same building in the same day. So you have 2 games for each session. Our first one started at 2:00, got done a little before 7. They never start at the posted time. They always get backed up a little bit. So the second one started just before 8. Our fourth game didn't start till 10:36 at night. That was Indiana, Kent State. Got back to my buddy's place. He's only about maybe 15, 20 minutes from Albany. We got back there around 1:30 in the morning. Saturday was a do-nothing day, so that was kind of nice. And then Sunday we did 2 more games at night. And so another guy who went with us is a big UConn fan. I've always been a UConn fan. Went to school at Nichols, not too far from there. There's a lot of UConn fans there. So that's where I kind of caught on to them. I find it fascinating. The first and second rounds, you have 8 fan bases all descending on the same place. It's just fascinating to see. It really is. So much fun.
That is crazy. Is there any fights between the fans or like the college kids?
No, it wasn't too rowdy. Of course, Albany's not far from UConn, so there's a ton of UConn fans there. Miami traveled very well. Indiana traveled quite well. Those are big name schools, so that's not really surprising. But just a lot of fun. It's always fun to see the different fan bases. And they each have their little corner down low, right behind the team bench and stuff like that. A really, really cool experience. I highly recommend for those of you out there who haven't gone to it.
Yes, that is certainly on my bucket list.
Yeah,
So they have like
The
the
games that Steve saw were some of the games that I was most excited for in the first round. And I had Drake and Kent State, I think, in the first round. And obviously,
I did have Drake, and they almost beat Miami. They probably should have, actually.
They should have.
I think I picked Drake to win that game. Yeah. Maybe the tournament will come somewhere here. There's plenty of venues here in New England that are capable of hosting a March Madness first or second round matchup. So I wouldn't be surprised. I know it's been in Worcester a few times. They've had some great matchups there over the years.
Yeah, so actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. The Sweet 16 and Elite 8 are in Boston next year, 2024. And then the first and second round will be in Providence in 2025.
Nice.
they should have it at Gillette Stadium. How cool would that be?
An outdoor March Madness?
Outdoor basketball? Come on now.
Yeah, in March in New England.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would add elements to it. 24 suspense. There you go. All right. Well, it's been a terrific tournament. Great time of year for sports fans. So much going on. And one of the other most important things going on is the Boston Bruins just keep on winning. They had a little 2-game skid where they didn't look great, but then they came back with a nice 7-game winning streak. A very, very impressive win in a shootout against the Carolina Hurricanes on Sunday. A very big win on Saturday against Tampa Bay. This team is red hot. They're not slowing down. They are just tremendous. And there's not much more to say than that. So, Steve, I'll leave it to you. Oh, the one thing I do want to say, if this team doesn't win a cup, that is an ultimate disappointment. They are just too good not to win the cup. They're expected to do it at this point. Would you agree, Steve?
There's no reason why they can't win a cup. There's no reason whatsoever. I know people have been nagging on the power play lately. It has been great. You're not going to get many chances on the power play anyway, come playoff time. So I don't think that's really a big concern. And you remember in 2011, we won the whole thing, and that power play was atrocious. So there's no reason. They check all the boxes. They have all the pieces. There's no reason why they can't be hoisting the cup in June. And as you touched on, a couple of big wins this weekend. Big win against Tampa on Saturday here. No love lost between those two teams. Had a fight 9 seconds in. Wouldn't be shocked if we saw them again. Yesterday in Carolina, shorthanded, no Bergeron, no Marchand, no Lindholm. So, some would think, oh, that's just a throwaway game. 1-game road trip. Sit your best guys and just try your best. But you know what? Their best was good enough to win yesterday. Very, very gutsy. Both games very gutsy, which is not surprising from this squad.
Absolutely. And they set a record with their win on Sunday, almost set a record, but they matched a record. They matched the franchise mark for most wins in a season at 57. It was set in 1970-71 season. And they also won their 27th road game, matching a record from 1971, 1972. I expect all those records to be obliterated by the end of this season. I think this team is just pretty much going to surpass what really almost any NHL team has done. I mean, they're just so dominant. But to see them play back-to-back days against teams like Tampa and Carolina, who they always just seem to have a problem with, and to come out with those wins, that is just gritty. And that shows you, I think, that this team has a lot of fight in them. And they're not giving up on any of these games. I don't think there's a such thing as a throwaway game with this group. And I think it says a lot about their toughness. Andy, any thoughts about the Bruins?
Just been it's been a great year. From really never really seen a Bruins team or any team do something like this. But they got to win a cup. There's no excuse. They're the best team, hands down, both East and West. But again, Steven mentioned Tampa, Carolina. There are teams that can give them problems. I don't think they can beat them, but those would be the teams I would be the most concerned about. Just because Tampa's got a lot of experience, and Carolina does give the Bruins problems. They do. They just have over the last couple of years. But the biggest thing that comes down to is health. Bruins are healthy. They should win. It's really that simple.
And I think the great thing is, and hopefully you'll have them both for the playoffs, so they'll both stay healthy. But the fact you got two very reliable goaltenders in Ullmark and Swayman, I mean, these are two elite guys. And I don't know if you're going to have them both on the same roster next season, because someone's going to want to scoop up one of these guys as their starter, and you're going to have to choose. And we don't necessarily have to talk about who we'd choose yet, but I think it's very interesting to think about. So, I mean, you're going to have a good team for years to come. You got Pasta for a long time. You're going to have you got a lot of great players coming up as well. But to have these two tremendous goaltenders who you could put either one of them in and you got a great chance to win. Not a lot of teams have that ability.
Now, who's the potential first round matchup? Is it Pittsburgh?
You probably have Pittsburgh, the Islanders, Panthers, outside shot of teams like the Sabres, Capitals. One of them would really have to go on a hot streak. I'd say the Isles, the Pens, or the Panthers. One of those three, most likely.
Yeah, and Steve has a chart in his basement mapping out all the possible scenarios. You are a genius with this stuff, Steve. If you're talking about potential matchups, you talk to Steve. All right, Jared, any Bruins thoughts?
Tom, you stole my Bruins thoughts about goaltending. I was going to talk about goaltending. Just the fact that they have two guys that you can put any of them on any night and do the job is just massive. Love Swayman, love Ullmark, both great goaltenders. Yeah, again, Andy touched on it, health. If this team is healthy, they should win a cup. They're ridiculous. This team is just insane. I didn't like the fact that they blew a 3-1 lead to Carolina and then kind of had to win in a shootout. But but again, even I guess if I'm going to go against my health point, they can be missing guys and still win games. And they showed that against Tampa Bay. They can plug guys in, boom, win games. They're just a complete team. They don't have any weaknesses. Yeah, let it rip.
Here's another thought, too. Finish series early. You do not want to be going 6-7 games in the first two rounds.
Agreed.
That starts weighing on teams. This team needs to take
care of business early.
You're going to need it down the stretch.
Early and often.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned the lead they blew on Carolina. I feel like that is just something to almost expect when it comes to Carolina. They always seem to blow a lead against that team, and then
Carolina's forecheck is so good, and that's why I think they give the Bruins a lot of problems. Is because their forecheck is so good.
Jerseys yesterday, I saw that.
What?
Carolina, I think, did they have their Hot Wheel jerseys on yesterday?
Yeah,
yes,
I think so. Yep,
that's another reason they almost pulled it off. If you can't pull it off wearing a Hartford Whalers jersey, you're not beating this Bruins team.
Do you imagine if they did bring the Hartford Whalers back? That would just be unreal, man. Seriously, I don't think it's ever going to happen. But
let's play a hockey team with all the.
Steve would be at opening night for that.
For the Whalers. Oh my god!
Those jerseys do look awesome.
Oh yeah, they're great. Love them.
They were probably trying to mess with people's heads. That's why they wore those. Or was it some kind of anniversary or something?
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a
No,
throwback
they
thing.
usually wear them a few times a year. Typically, one is against the Bruins, since the old Bruins Whalers rivalry from back in the day.
Ah, that makes sense. Well, yeah, it's been a very fun season, and we're certainly being spoiled by this Bruins team. I mean, the amount of awesome hockey us Boston fans have had the opportunity to watch all season. It's been great. I can't recall a season that's been this exciting. There's been exciting ones, but this is just on another level.
Sure is.
Yeah. Jim Montgomery's done a great job.
Absolutely.
All right, Tom, I actually got a split. I have a fantasy baseball draft in 8 minutes, and I need to prepare in 8 minutes. So
All right. Well, Jared, you do that. Best of luck.
enjoy, gents.
We are going to move on.
Good luck.
To NBA.
Thank you, sirs.
And the Boston Celtics, they've had a good season as well. They got a nice dominant win over the San Antonio Spurs last night. And they've been another Boston team that's been very fun to watch. They're not as good as the Bruins, but they're pretty good. They're right up there. They have clinched a playoff spot, but really it comes down to Celtics and the Bucks. Those pesky Bucks just won't go away. Celtics currently a game and a half down in the standings. Andy, what are you expecting out of this team? Where do you think they should end up? How far do you expect them to go in the playoffs? What's a disappointment and what's overachieving?
Well, I want them back in the NBA Finals. I think that's the start. If you can get back, the Celtics have not been to back-to-back NBA Finals since 1984 and 85. When they went from 84 to 87, they went to 4 straight. You got to beat the Bucks on Thursday night to have any chance of getting that 1 seed. You still have an outside shot. They are playing a little bit better. They had some good wins, but I want a championship. I think that's the goal now. It's like, can Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum take this team to a title? They were 2 wins away from winning a title last year. You go out and get Malcolm Brogdon, but again with the Celtics, it's health. That's always been a problem with this team. Robert Williams not being healthy, Malcolm Brogdon, Marcus Smart getting hurt. Milwaukee is the team that's standing in our way. That's really the team that I feel is the biggest threat to the Celtics. Yeah, Philadelphia, Cleveland, the Knicks are also good, but I still think it's just because Milwaukee's got Giannis. But I do think it'll come down to the Bucks and the Celtics for the Eastern Conference Finals. You want that Game 7 in Boston because I don't think the Bucks can win a Game 7 here. I don't, but I think we can win in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I agree. And again, like I kind of look at it the same way I did last year. I think the Bucks are very good. They got Giannis, who's incredible, but they're not as well-rounded as a team as the Celtics team. The Celtics, I think, are better built for the playoffs. And if they're not at least in the Eastern Conference Finals going to Game 7, that's a big disappointment.
Big step back.
Kind of a disappointment if they're not in the finals, but
no.
Go ahead, Andy.
I think it's a big disappointment too. I just think they're good enough. I mean, they've got the pieces. Now it's time to go and put it together, and let's see what they can do. I guess if they make the finals, who is the team that you fear the most in the West? I would have to still say it is Golden State because I just think they got the Celtics number. I don't know if the Warriors are even going to make the finals. That is the team I would fear the most. I don't think I really fear the Nuggets that much. Sacramento, no. Memphis, no. It's again, actually a team I might be a little worried about is Phoenix, just because they got Durant, they got Devin Booker. I still think it's the Warriors, as crazy as that sounds, just because they have so much experience. But the East to me is so much better than the West. The teams are better.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the East is far more talented. I think the champion will likely come out of the East. Steve, any Celtics thoughts?
Well, much like the Bruins, I think this spring on Causeway Street will be as fun as those two teams make it. So it's completely up to them. There's no reason why the Celtics can't get back to the finals. No reason why they can't win it. I mean, they came within 2 games last year. So, they probably will have to go through Milwaukee. Last year was round 2. This year it probably lines up to be the conference final. The Celtics did win Game 7 of the final on the road last year at the Heat. So, they've been there and done that before. And I do think they definitely are built for a playoff run, as you said. So, I don't think it all hinges if they beat the Bucks later on this week or not. They might get the 1 seed, they might get the 2 seed. They might get a whole different seed than that. But yeah, if they play the way they're capable, there's no reason why they can't be playing into June.
Absolutely. So hopefully they will be strong enough to get to those Eastern Conference Finals and meet up with the Bucks and take them down. Because if they don't, it's a big disappointment. This team has too much talent to not make the championship again, I feel like. And these are the years that you certainly want to take advantage of, because Tatum is at the top of his game. Jaylen Brown's at the top of his game. Your stars are at their elite peak, and you don't know how long that's going to last. So hopefully this is the year.
You're judged by championships here in Boston, period.
That's right.
Period. Like, when I was at the Garden a couple of weeks ago, just looking at all those banners on both sides, you are judged by championships here. This is unlike any other city in the country. I mean, we have this so much history, so many championships. So if Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum want to start being mentioned with some of those great Celtics teams, you gotta put a banner up in the rafters. It's that simple.
Yes, absolutely. And I do want to get to a topic about NFL rule changes that Steve has brought to my attention. Steve, why don't you plan on what the league is doing and some of these potential rule changes we could see?
So one of them is they're going to vote to allow flexing of Thursday night games in weeks 14 through 17. So it seems to be notified, I think 25 days out or something like that they're in contention to have their game flexed. And the official notice would go out 15 days out. So you could have a Sunday or Monday game moved up to Thursday. This probably, if this was in effect last year, that probably would have happened. You had some pretty lousy matchups in the later part of the season. I think it is an atrocious idea. I know some people here don't like Thursday games at all. I personally do like them, but it has to be based on fairness. Each team has to play a Thursday night game. You cannot have teams playing multiple short weeks, 3 days rest. That was the whole thing when Thursday Night Football expanded the full season. It's all teams have a term. That way it's fair. So if you do this, then that's broken. That's not fair. I don't care how good or bad a team is. Everyone should have one of those slots in one of those short weeks, and not to mention for fans. So let's say if it's a Pats home game on a Sunday or Monday, and now it gets moved to Thursday. That's a lot of readjusting for a lot of people. Not to mention the stadium staff. You got to get staff for the stadium lined up, state police for traffic details. They're not well thought out. I don't think it's going to pass. I just think it is a terrible, terrible idea. One of the worst I've heard in a long time.
This is all about their lucrative Amazon deal is all it is. I hate the idea. I don't think they should do this. How about you just schedule better? How about, if you want to get better games at the end of the season, look at the better matchups. There's a lot of divisional games. Those are typically good. Put those in there on that Thursday night slot. But I agree. I think flexing games, moving them up to Thursday, it kind of wrecks everybody's planning process. Stadium staff, the people actually paying and planning to go to those games. A lot of people can't go to the Thursday games, so they buy tickets for a Sunday game at the end of the year, and then all of a sudden it gets moved up to Thursday and they can't go, and it's their one game a year. I mean, how are fans going to feel about that?
Not great.
No. And then the other thing too is all teams are scheduled to play a Thursday game. This is what they voted on. What's the big deal? The Monday night games don't get flexed out. Why do you want to get the Thursday games flexed out?
I'm sure it's got to be some corporate pressure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The sponsorships are coming directly from Amazon, maybe. But I've made it very clear I am not a fan of the Thursday night product. I don't agree with it being on Amazon. I think it's ridiculous. But that's just the way things are going. So I mean, I can either choose to watch or not to watch. But and then don't
I
forget
mean,
the
we're
NFL.
all still going to watch. Let's be real.
Well,
here.
yeah, of course, because that's just the NFL. It's just the way it is. And I've said it before on the show a million times. I mean, no other league's going to touch the NFL. They're never going to.
Right.
That's just the way it is. It's like pretty soon you're going to have football every single night, the way it's going. Eventually, you probably will.
Nothing wrong.
Absolutely. And to top it off, they've added the Monday nights to the flex policy too. They can have flex late season Monday night games. I think it might be limited to one or two, but I don't think that's a great idea either. I think the Thursday is even worse. At least Sunday to Monday is only one day.
Horrible. You can't imagine the NFLPA is going to go for that, the flexing on a Thursday.
No, I'll tell you right now, I can't think of a single coach who would be in favor of this. And if you're the league, you cannot sit here and tell us all that you're serious about health and safety if you're going to pass this rule. Because that's a crock of you know what. Because short week games, people don't like them anyway, the coaches especially. So then you're going to make teams play a second one with only 15 days notice that they're going to play a second short week game. I don't know. Right. That just doesn't seem to align with their supposed concerns about health and safety.
No, not at all. It's ridiculous. And I think it's going to be a huge burden for all parties involved. And, fans, it's a huge burden on them, the ones planning to go to the game. Okay, maybe you could kind of get over that end a little bit. You might get some people mad, but you know what? Player safety. I think that's the number one thing. And the NFL players don't like the Thursday games. So I can't imagine they're going to be very happy about if this flex thing passes and you could move a game up to Thursday. Andy, did you have another thought?
No, I just again, I think that just the way it's going. But if they're so unhappy with the Thursday night games, they're not going anywhere. I mean, they're staying.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't mind the game staying, but no Thursday night flexes. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, if you're gonna flex, just keep it the way it is. I mean, I understand flexing games out of Sunday night football and whatnot. You want to have the big prime time, matchup, but it's just the way the league is. This is what they've done. This is what they're always going to do.
And
the schedule should be coming out soon. I think another month or so should be getting the schedule out.
So they're voting
probably the second week in May.
They're voting on this still. This hasn't happened yet. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be voted on. I think tomorrow they're going to vote on this, and we'll know the results tomorrow.
All right, there was another rule you informed me about. Making fair catches on kickoffs, punts inside the 25 result in the ball being placed at the 25. Okay. So if you make a fair catch on a kickoff or punt, anywhere inside the 25 is at the 25. Do I got it right?
Yes, that's right. So in college has that current rule with kickoffs. So now the pros want to expand it. The pros don't have this rule at all. They want to do it for kickoffs and punts. So the days of pinning your opponent inside the 10-yard line, which is a big thing for punters, it helps if you have a good punter, you can do that. That takes all that away. So I'm not in favor of this.
I am a big no on this. I am not in favor of this either. It changes the game substantially. It takes a big element out of the game, and it ruins a lot of good plays. It ruins some epic kickoff returns and punt returns and some epic punts. What's the point of having a good punter anymore? All he has to do is boot the ball to the 25 at least. You're going to do that from most places on the field as long as you have a decent leg.
Yeah, exactly. And it's going to take a lot of strategy out. If you're around midfield, say, and you opt to punt rather than go from fourth down, you can pin your opponent back, flip the field position. If this passes, all that's out the window. So it takes the strategy out of it. Some people just want to see a lot of points scored, but I personally love seeing the strategy in football. I think it's fascinating. And if this rule passes, that would take a lot of that out of it.
It's part of the game. That strategy is part of the game. It's a game of planning. That's why you play, besides the physical element, that's why you play one game a week. There's a lot of planning. You plan special teams, you plan your offense, you plan your defense, you change up the play calls every week. This is part of the game. It would ruin a nice chunk of the game.
Making too many changes, too many rule changes, too many,
Exactly.
How about you try working on your officiating? Okay.
No, according to Goodell, the officiating was better than it's ever been, right?
This is a whole other topic, but I'm telling you, this is why people are getting sick of professional sports. Too much replay, too many rule changes, too much bureaucracy and politics. They're tired of it. They're tired of it. Because eventually the average fan is going to stop watching. It's going to happen. Maybe not right now, but it just enough's enough.
Well, I'll tell you what.
A catch is a catch.
NFL,
a tackle is a tackle. Okay? It just, I've had it. I've had enough.
That was a good rant.
Yeah, because I'm tired of it.
You should be. I'm tired of it too. And I'm totally with you because you know what? The NFL, they got it perfect right now. They got it great. They're the number one elite league in the United States. They're the top sport. They keep changing stuff like this. Like, this is a big change, the special teams thing. If they do stuff like this, people are going to watch. People like the game the way it is. When something's great, you don't go messing with it. And they're messing with it too much. I agree.
It's like the overtime rules. I don't agree with that. I think it should be sudden death. You win, game's over. I'm sick and tired of these teams complaining and crying, oh, we didn't get the ball. There's two parts to the game, offense and defense. Stop the team, then we'll talk.
Exactly. You know, there's a saying that Mark Cuban had many years ago, probably like 10 plus years ago now. Hogs get fat, pigs get slaughtered. I think the league is, with some of these proposals, I think they're kind of wading into that territory. Same with the whole, potential neutral site game for the Chiefs and Bills. It never happened.
Yeah.
Like they're starting to kind of cross that line.
And the other thing too is, Steve.
Yeah, they've got a golden goose. Don't screw it up.
The other thing too is, it's like, if you want to get an average fan, like you're trying to cater to these people, they're not going to watch. They're like, I'm going to go do something. I will do something else. I got to admit, I think college football rules are pretty good. And I don't watch as much college football as maybe some other people do or whatnot, but I think they're pretty good. They seem to get it. Here's the other, and one more thing. Challenges. These have got to get better. They take way too long. What's the call? Okay, this and that. No catch, it's a catch. Let's go. There is absolutely no reason a challenge should take more than 5 minutes. No reason whatsoever.
I agree.
It's horrible.
And it is. They're changing things too much. And if they keep doing it, they're going to draw people away from the sport. They could ruin the NFL if they keep doing stuff like this. Leave the game alone. Leave it alone. I don't think this special teams change is going to do much for player safety. I really don't. And it's just too big of a change, and I don't like it. You erase a whole important element out of the game. Special teams is important, and it plays a big role. And a lot of these legendary games, especially when it's a high pressure game or it's a game where you got two good teams, special teams is really kind of that thing separating these two teams from being an absolute shootout and making the game actually interesting. So it's just too big of a change. But we are out of time, so we have to get to final thoughts. Steve, any final thoughts?
Go Bruins, man. Keep chugging.
Absolutely.
Go Bruins. Andy, any final thoughts?
Well, coming up this weekend, it's WrestleMania. 2 nights now. 2 nights of WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to watching it. It's really the only one event that I currently still watch. I think that's just way too much now. But WrestleMania is still almost 40 years old now. It's just unreal that it's been around this long. But I always look forward to watching it every year. It's gonna be a good time to watch.
Any bold predictions?
Any bold predictions? Ooh. I don't know. Will Hulk Hogan make an appearance? Or, will he make an appearance at WrestleMania?
Be awesome.
It would. Coming out with the Hulk Rules shirt, he starts ripping it off, and
Yeah.
he's almost 70 years old. Can you believe that? Is that crazy?
He looks like he's 50, I'd say.
There's a lot of good wrestling documentaries on, though. If you really, some of them I watch are just, they're fascinating, really. See what these guys have put themselves through.
Oh, yeah. It is tough. Very tough.
It's tough business.
Certainly is. All right. My final thought is happy spring. Spring sports are here. Check our website, hcam.tv, to see the Hiller broadcast schedule on HCAM. But that is going to do it for this edition of HCAM Sports Talk. For Jared Keene, Andy Barron, Steve Watson, I'm Tom Nappy. We thank you for joining us. Take care, be well, and we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody. The 8th-seeded Hopkinton Hillers boys hockey team and 3rd-seeded Canton Bulldogs met up on Sunday, March 19th at the TD Garden for the Division II state championship. Here's a look at what happened. Turkey is wide. Another shot here, wide of the net. That shot delivered by Matt Anderson. Canton putting some very good pressure on here in these early minutes. Mara looking to break up the ice. Hit delivered by Chaput. Along the near side corner, sent over to Scardino. Pops off the boards, win. Gets it out in front, and Mara puts it in! Good start for the Hillers! Pavitt, Mara, who else? And that goal comes at 11:48 left in the first period. It was a terrific send-up by Wynn, and Mara puts it in. Third goal is wide by Matt Anderson. And a nice hit along the far side delivered by Resnick. Or actually, that was Carrazza. Carrazza certainly known for his hits, and that'll do it for the first period. After one period of play, it's the Hopkinton Hillers 1, the Canton Bulldogs nothing. The Hillers have the lead, but a lot of pressure by Canton in that first period. The Hillers are certainly going to have to try to get some more pressure of their own, and it was just tremendous the amount of shots that Canton was getting off, but thankfully we had some absolutely terrific goaltending by Jack Lang to keep it a 1-0 game. We are ready to get things started here in the second period. We are underway. Mara wins the faceoff. Hiller is working left to right across your screen for this second period. Roach, he'll send it to the slot, and it's wide by Blake. To the blue line now. That shot sent out in front. Loose puck turned away by Lang, and then it's going to be a great save by Lang. Unbelievable. And here's the replay. Great goaltending. Snags it up with the glove. Unreal. And here comes Canton. Chaput approaching. And that shot going to be deflected from Torgy. And a close call there as it was sent towards the net by, I believe that was LaBelle. Jammed up along the corner out in front, and it is deflected off the end boards. Along the near side now. Well, the Hillers are doing a little bit better of a job of this period at not letting Canton get so much pressure, at least in the last few minutes. And a lucky fan just caught a nice souvenir as the puck was flipped into the crowd. 4:17 left to go. Look at this tremendous save by Jack Lang. Another one off the face-off in Hiller territory along the far side. Into the corner, Torgy sends it towards the net. It's poked off the side of the net. And now top of the left circle, sent wide. And now it is going to be put in. Well, A lot of pressure. You had to figure at some point they're going to break through. Brendan Torgey puts it in. We're knotted up at 1 apiece. Here's the replay here. Off the post went the initial shot, and then Torgey able to just poke it in. Approaching DiGirolamo, matched up with Wynn, and shot and another score there. Brian Middleton goes 5-hole. Well, the puck deflected just right to Middleton. And he was able to pop it in to make it 2-1 corner. And that'll do it for the second period, and some emotions taking over at the end there. It's been a very physical game, but you certainly are going to have to keep your cool. If you are the Hillers, you have some work to do to get back into this game. It is Canton 2, Hopkinton 1. We are through 2 periods here at the TD Garden. D2 Girls Championship. It was Duxbury defeating Canton 5-2. So congratulations Duxbury on a state championship title, and Canton on a tremendous season as we are underway in the third period. Hiller is working right to left across your screen. There. Across goes Ian Tosca. And it's stolen away. Thomas sends it to the circle, and it's rung in. Quite a goal. Jeffrey Chaput. Chaput puts what is likely the finisher in the net. And it was just a good feed, and Chaput just found the open side of the net, goes glove side and rings it in. Beauty of a setup by Canton. Make it to this level is just an unbelievable accomplishment. And this group of Hillers players was certainly so fun to watch and cover all season long. Looking for the empty netter, they get it. A.J. Thomas with the finisher. And laying back in net for the Hillers. They know their fate at this point. And they'll play out the clock. Peraza putting the moves on, and that'll do it. The Canton Bulldogs win the Division II state championship.
The Canton Bulldogs take the game by a final of 4-1 and capture the Division II state championship. The Hillers finish the season with 20 wins and 5 losses. Canton finishes with the D2 state championship title and a record of 22 wins and 5 losses. Congratulations to head coach Scott Hayes and the Hillers on an incredible run, and congratulations to Canton on their 3rd state title in the last 4 seasons.